Okay, let's talk about when I went off to active duty. I graduated in May of '87, and I had about 5 months before I had to go on active duty. So I just moved all my shit from the dorm back to the house, back to my mom's house, about an hour away in Goldsboro. But I kept my job at the bookstore at Walden Books. Man, I'm trying to remember the name of that mall. It's in Raleigh. It'll come to me. Anyway, yeah, working at Walden Books, and kept going to, kept working there. Driving back and forth every day, 4 or 5 times a week, pretty much full time. So, making some money. Finally, day comes that, I gotta drive. I gotta pack up my little Honda Civic, and drive to California, from North Carolina to California. I'm all excited, I'm freaking 22, 23, and getting out, going, finally going into the military. So I shove everything in the car and take off. Left that morning about 6 a.m., something like that. And I drive from Goldsboro. I get past Raleigh. I get around Durham, and all of a sudden one of my cylinder dies. I got a 4-cylinder little Honda putt car, and one of my cylinder dies. I don't know what the fuck's going on because I'm not a mechanic, and I'm like, nope, I'm gonna ride this puppy until it dies. So I basically went, and I was making a detour down to Houston to visit a college friend of mine. So I basically drove from Durham, North Carolina, on I-40, through the Appalachian Mountains on 3 cylinders, over on the right side. I'm in the right lane with the trucks going up because they're going so slow. I can't even pass trucks because I only got 3 cylinders. I'm up in the fucking mountains. So get through there, and I drove like continuously. I did not stop from 6 a.m. one morning, all through, across North Carolina, Appalachians, across Tennessee, get into Arkansas, and now I'm cutting down eastern Texas from Texarkana down to Houston, and I hadn't slept. By the time I got on that road, and I can't remember what it is, like Highway 58 or 85 or some shit like that. Anyway, by the time I'm going south down that road, going into Houston, it's like 3 o'clock the next morning. So I've been driving for 20 hours, 21, 22 hours. And here's the deal. Here's where the ghost story comes in. So I'm driving on this 2-lane road, eastern Texas, headed south. It's 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I know I'm tired. I know I'm drinking coffee and sticking no-dos in between my cheek and gum and stuff. And I come over this hill and start coming down the hill, and I see what I thought, move, cat. I see what I thought was a guy on a horseback in the middle of the road. And I'm like, yeah, I know he's not there because nobody's out here in the middle of the night on a horse in the middle of the road. I'm hallucinating. I got a psych degree. Like, yeah, I'm hallucinating. And this is outside of Nacogdoches, Texas, by the way, which is the oldest town in Texas. So you got the whole Alamo days wrapped up into this little story. So I'm coming down a hill. I see the guy on horseback, and I'm like, yeah, he's not there. I'm hallucinating. And if he is there, I'm fucking running over him and his horse. So I come down and go through it, and I'm like, first big intersection I get to, highway intersection with a Motel 6 or whatever, I'm going to get some sleep. So I pull in, go in there, get a few hours sleep, wake up, keep going, get to Houston, hang off with my friend for a few days, and then eventually I got the car fixed. I got that cylinder fixed just enough to basically get me from Texas to California, and got to California and started my military career. Now, that was 1987. That was like September 1987. Forward to like sometime summerish 1992. I'm in California. I'm at my dad's house. And my dad, way back in the day, my dad used to be stationed at Ellington Air Force Base, which is just outside of Houston. And he used to drive from Ellington all the way up that same highway, all the way across 40 to come home on leave to see my mom and us boys. So I don't know what happened. I don't know why we were talking about it. And he says, "Yeah, I saw a ghost one time." I was like, "Really? Where?" He's like, "I had gotten off work at Ellington and I got in my car and I'm driving up Highway 58, 85, whatever it is, and just outside of Nacogdoches, Texas, there was like this guy on a horse in the middle of the road." But then I knew I was tired and I didn't think anything of it, so I just kept on driving. Of course, he wasn't there. And then I came home to North Carolina, and I'm like, "Oh shit!" And I'm all quiet, and I said, "Let me tell you a story, Dad." So I tell him my story, and this happened like 40 years apart. And after I got finished telling that story, my stepmom, she was like, "I don't want to hear about this anymore." But it was so crazy that we had like that same experience on that same stretch of road, some 30, 40 years apart. Now, I had run into a pilot that worked in my first assignment, and he was from Nacogdoches, Texas. And I asked him, I said, "Hey, dude, you're from Nacogdoches. Is there some kind of story about, some dude on horseback that's out in the middle of the highway that people see?" And he's like, yeah, everybody's seen that. Everybody's seen that ghost. He's like, "It's somebody from back in the, Alamo days, Davy Crockett, all that stuff. But, yeah, everybody's seen him." And I never looked it up. I'm going to have to go online and see if I can look it up, because, when I talked to him, it was way before we had the internet and Google and all that stuff, so you really couldn't look up stuff like you can now. But I'm going to have to go and look that up and see if I can find out, like, who is that the ghost of. But I thought it was really cool that something like that happened to me and my dad, like, just, dozens of years apart. So, yeah. Okay, if you like that story, I got more coming. Click the like button, click the subscribe button, and I'll see you again soon.